I call the honourable member Keith Block.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Green Party at the time of the first and second readings did vote against this bill, and there were good speeches illuminating that from Gareth Hughes and Kennedy Graham. Unfortunately, Kennedy Graham can't be here today to present the particular speech on behalf of the Greens. He's been the member of the Justice and Electoral Committee, and like many other Christchurch MPs, he's otherwise detained. This bill does have several good points, as have been outlined by previous speakers. The public defender system is a step forward, and we want that to be reinforced. But we are concerned, like the previous Labor speakers, that to some degree this legislation has been driven by the Margaret Baisley report, which, as has been pointed out, has been highly criticised by lawyers, particularly in the Manukau area, as an unwarranted attack on them without sufficient evidence to back up the accusations of somehow wrongly benefiting from the legal aid system. The main reason why the Green Party opposed the bill at the earlier stages still applies, and that we're not sure that with the disestablishment of the old Legal Services Agency and the putting of the administration of legal aid services under the Ministry of Justice, that will preserve the necessary independence that a legal services body requires, and putting in a supposedly independent statutory officer, the Legal Services Commissioner, won't necessarily solve that problem. It says in the report back from the committee, it is important that while the Commissioner would be accountable to the Secretary of Justice, the Secretary should not be able to interfere in the Commissioner's performance of his or her independent functions as set out in the bill. That's all very well, but as we've found in other areas, when an officer is reporting to somebody above them in the hierarchy, their responses are a bit conditioned by the responses of that higher-up officer, and that was part of the debate on a bill in merging the archives and National Library, etc., and putting it under the Department of Internal Affairs, that even though you had an independent chief archivist, the fact that that chief archivist would have to report to the head of the Department of Internal Affairs constrained the real independence of that Commissioner, particularly when monetary matters are involved, as they are with legal services and as they were in the case of the Chief Archivist and the Department of Internal Affairs. And, you know, budgets can be restricted, etc., etc. So we basically don't think there is sufficient independence in the system. The other question that's been raised, and the report back from the committee talks about submissions on this, is the question of people being able to get a lawyer of their choice. And as is pointed out in the report back, the previous board of the Legal Services Agency took away that right to get a person's own lawyer for Category 1 and Category 2 criminal cases, which do involve lower level criminal offending. But I think it's difficult in the Green view to make a distinction between lower level offending and higher level offending in terms of access to legal aid. You might say, oh, it's not so important, it's, they're only getting a small punishment, it doesn't matter if they don't choose their own lawyer. But as we know, the very first offence, even if it's a low level of criminal offending, can be very important for a person. It sets them on the road often to a criminal career, to repeat offending, etc., etc. And if they just had a good lawyer at that beginning stage, it might have made the difference, because people often feel a great injustice if their lawyer isn't up to scratch, even in the smallest case, and they get wrongly convicted, and that sense of injustice can actually carry over to more criminality. So it's not a good thing. There were submissions from the community law agencies for consultation to be written into the bill, so that they had to be there was a statutory requirement for consultation by the agency. Unfortunately, the committee decided that shouldn't be written into the bill. And again, while it's good to trust people and they have the right motivations and, yes, they will engage in the consultation because that's the thing to do, I think it's always good to write it in, because some officials and some governments are not too keen on consultation with non-government organisations. We have currently a foreign minister called Murray McCully who's not all that keen on consultation with NGOs in the foreign affairs and aid sector. So, I just think it's good to write these things in. So just with those few comments, as I indicated, the public defender system and other aspects of the bill are quite useful, but on balance the Green Party is going to stick with its position of voting against this bill. Thank you.